This conference will now be recorded.
I have 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So let's look at the, do we have any amendments to the, what do you call it? Agenda.
Not that I know of.
Okay, then can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. We'll look at the minutes from 11:18.
I'd like to approve the meeting minutes from November 18th.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Passes. Let's do the accounts payable, which is me. I guess.
Again, yes.
So if you take a look at the first one, that is for pay request 3 for the West Avenue sidewalk project. I believe that's will be complete, or do they have to wait and look at the final next year in the spring?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what that's about. And 715 is that pump enclosure that we talked about. And 733 is sludge hauling, so that's a big amount. And WHKS and 743 is kind of for Jefferson and West Avenue, a bunch of different things. So that was the engineering cost for that. So if nobody has any questions or wants to talk about anything more, I'll make a motion to approve the December 2nd accounts payable in the amount of $183,492.83.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. 401, you're abstaining?
No, where's
Oh.
Todd?
Oh, 401, sorry, Todd's not here. 4.
Yeah, I'd like to
Duh.
abstain on that giant monster of a building.
Right.
Sewer plant, just, needs to keep running.
400, yeah.
0, yeah.
And this is the public comment portion of the meeting. If you have an item you want to address the city council about, you can state your name and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Anyone have any public comment? I'll call it out again. Anyone have any public comment?
I do. I'm here in regards to the tax statement that we received. My name is Patricia Mose, and I am just curious about the amount and what does that cover? Because it seems like a significant amount.
The taxes, that has to be addressed with,
Well, yeah,
it's
next
on the agenda.
We're going to go through it. Yep, sorry. That's
Okay.
We kind of doubled up public things here, so.
Yeah, we have
Next
to,
one's a public hearing.
yes, so we'll talk about that. Maybe it'll answer your question. Otherwise, we'll be sure to answer it.
There's a
Okay.
whole
Thank you.
presentation coming, so.
Mhm. Okay. So anybody have a comment other than that's not about the taxes? Nope. Then I'll close the public comment portion and we will go to 6A, which is 2022 final budget and levy, and Kim will be giving us a presentation on that. And then I will open a public comment and we will have it after she's given the presentation.
Thank you, Council. I just want to go through a few things for the, about the budget. Remember last year at this time, we had a lot of people come in with their property tax statement and asking about the values of their house in April when you look at that. And the property values within the city of Zumbrota did take a significant increase for this tax year due to the increased sales value because everything's based on current market sales the 10 months previous. So this last statement, I can only speak for my statement of my property taxes. I did not see as a significant an increase in my 2022 values that will be used, that they'll be basing my 2022 values on. So it was an increase, but not as much. So that was nice as a property owner. But as a city this year, we talked a lot about the catch up we need to do on some of the things. We are looking at increasing some policing staff. We're looking at trying to get caught up and further ahead with our sidewalks and our roads. We also, the biggest increase that we saw in our budget this year was Jefferson. That bonding, we were happy to get it. We really didn't think we'd get it as quickly as we did. Therefore, we had to come up with an extra $200,000 a year for those bonding costs, which is primarily the increase in the levy that you see. We have a couple little slides for you here. We just got our new population slide, and you can see that in 2005, I gotta open my papers here. In 2005, we were at 3,059 people. In 2022, we are at 3,726 people, which is a pretty significant increase for a little town. We've added 3 subdivisions since that time, miles of roads, more pipes, more streets, more everything. We have not increased our public works staff at all during that time. So we have, I feel like, really held the line on the things. But we do have things that are aging that need to be fixed. And that's kind of why we have the Jefferson Avenue, why we're looking at some of the increases we are. The city council has been very proactive in taking a large portion of our LGA money and putting it towards street projects. That's a great thing. But we have also had other projects come up that we were not anticipating, and therefore we have to dig out of that money sometime. For example, the West Avenue sidewalks was not really a project on our horizon, but we had to come up with that. We had a large seal coat project out by the fairgrounds on the golf course road. We're going to have to dig into some reserves to pay for that. Also some other sidewalk projects. So we're having to dig into some of that because we don't have the reserves. Thus, for example, the sidewalk fund has to put $5,000 away a year for, I've been here since 2006, and that's what we've been putting away. And, $10,000. How many blocks does $10,000 do for sidewalk? So obviously we aren't maintaining our sidewalks like we'd like to. So that's all of what we've been working through this year, and I believe we'll be working through next year, is addressing our needs so that we can more accurately reflect the needs we have for our infrastructure and the needs that we have for our capital equipment. All right, on our second slide here, we have new residential construction for 2021. We have just, as the time of this report, we had pulled 37 permits for new homes in the city of Zumbrota, not counting a few mobile homes that were also permitted. That's very close to our high of 2005. We saw a dip during the recession years, and we've been seeing a very steady increase. The new Highland 6 is pretty obvious. When you go out there, you can see a lot of construction going on out there. I think there's about 6 homes going on right there. We're filling up, which is a good thing to have. The next slide shows our new residential housing market value added. It's a pretty good significant increase this year, probably partly due to the increase in the value of homes, the increase in construction materials. So we are seeing that that rise, and that's always good. That when we have increased market value, that really helps us all out with our tax rates. The next one is new commercial market value. You can see that went up a little bit. I spoke with the assessor, the assessor for Goodhue County. I was curious as to how much of the Dairy Concepts construction project had come online, because that's a very large project and will greatly increase the taxable market value. At this time, when I talked to her, she thought it was about 27 to 30% online. So we are anticipating that that will help our taxable market value in the commercial sector grow for next year, which will make our base bigger to draw from in taxes and maybe reduce any increases in the impact on different people in the community. The next page shows our levies for 2010 to 2022. You will notice that in 2011 is always the year we go to where we had the really, really big increase. That was the year we got defunded. and we had to catch up, so we had to do a big increase. Now, I want to say a little bit of something about the levy increase is not directly a reflection of what goes on with the property taxes, as we know. As our market value increases within the town, it spreads it around. We are going to see an increase this year if you adopt the budget for the individual property owners, but it is not going to be a 10% increase at this time. Okay, and then there's another chart showing the levy, and it has continued to rise, as has our population. There's a direct correlation. We have more pressure on our infrastructure, we have more pressure on our amenities, and things are only getting more expensive, as we know, with inflation. And the next one is a comparison of 2021 to 2022 per 100,000 value of homes. This is a city portion only. Just to remind you, the tax statement you get doesn't all go to the city. Only a part goes to the city of that tax statement. So per $100,000, this is the increase you're going to see. As you can see, if you have an approximate 200,000 taxable market value home, your increase is going to be $64.28 in the city portion, which would be 5.96% approximately of an increase, which per month would be $536. And then of course it just goes up by $536 or $268 per every 100,000. So if you had $1 million house, it'd be $2268 a month. And then the last page we have is our 2022 proposed water and sewer rates, because that's all part of this budget as well. And Brian will switch the slide for us. We have talked about an increase to that, and also an increase in, well, we are going to reinstate the stormwater and the street lighting fee. I know last week or last meeting I wasn't here and you talked about lowering it. We did in this budget. I also just, as a staff point, we are just, just remember that whenever we lower it, there's something else we can't do because we have to keep on top of it. So it was about a $13,000 cut in that portion, which amounts per water service to about $15 a year per household. So we were able to do that. We'd like to have it put back in, but we totally understand. You guys have to advocate for the public. So most of our increase, so a couple high points about the budget this year. We did implement the salary study, which we were required to do by state law. We have implemented that. We are also trying to bring up our capital equipment funds so that we can more adequately fund new equipment, because with the price going up, we've depleted a lot of our accounts, updating our very outdated fleet, and we're having that going on. So we have been trying to update that, and we're continuing to reevaluate that. We'll be doing that all through this winter, getting a really good handle on what replacement costs are so we can give a more accurate judgment. And also, I think if you look at the budget historically, we've blown some of the budget numbers. So I think this budget more accurately reflects what is actually happening. I really want to commend the departments. They've been good about really looking at their budgets and trying to find ways to save. We're trying to think of creative ways to do things and cooperate with other people and trying to bring some of the costs down. Let's see. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Brian?
Well, we had talked a little bit about that we don't do special assessments for projects. And so that in turn, we have to pull money from other places. It's harder to get the bigger projects done. And with this street lighting fee, we spend more than we budget for that. Therefore, we end up pulling that from contingency or capital projects, which puts us farther behind there. Maybe you can explain a little bit what we were talking about.
About the street.
Special assessment, what
Yeah.
it would be on a $10,000
Exactly.
special
So the
assessment.
St. Paul Road, if we just did that one not too long ago, and the special assessments without curb and gutter and asphalt ran around $10,000 per property, if not more. So if you figure that out and you divide it by 10 years, it's $1,000 a year you'd be paying in special assessment plus interest. So that would actually be the impact to a property of right around $90 to $100 per month. Right now, when they're paying infrastructure fee or street lighting fee, that's $4.25 per month. So I think that comparison is good. We have not done the special assessments for a number of years. We could. I mean, that is the way a lot of cities do do the money. They're always contentious. You always have to debate with the property owners, rightly so, of if it's adding value to their property. But at this point, we do not do special assessments for improvements on existing streets for existing amenities. If you come in and you don't have them, then we will have to charge special assess for those projects. But it isn't a replacement for it. And so I always think we need to keep that foremost, that we are not charging, because otherwise, every time we do a street project, we'd assess property owners. And right now, when you go like the Jefferson property meetings they're having, when people come in, they want to know, what am I going to have to pay? And we're able to say, you don't have to pay. So yeah, we will start paying for that bond in January. So all coming in.
Well, I think you want to be clear that with St. Paul Road, we were asked to assist to do that.
Yes. So an
That wasn't
unimproved road, we
something
have to have a
made them do.
majority.
They
Yeah,
wanted it. So,
we don't just go in and
yeah,
fix.
that's the only reason.
There's a
that
few
we did
roads in
that.
town.
Yeah, that was just to illustrate the comparison where if we were asking for special assessments to do some of this work, it would be far more expensive than a $4.25 fee
Mhm.
that we're proposing to put on, for this next budget cycle. So that's why I just wanted you to consider that, moving forward.
A lot of communities, as we were looking at that, the fees here for the utility bills, those include more than just water and sewer rates. They include sidewalk fees, and for some communities, we don't have one yet. Sidewalk fees, street lighting fees, different fees for different things in there.
Do we have the slide that comparable to other communities with our next rate? Is that what it is? Is that the other?
Yeah.
That's it for 2022. Thank you.
And I also want to say that as far as the tax rate goes, so to get tax rate we can levy up to a certain amount. And right now, we are going to be about 58% of what we could levy. A lot of area communities I know a lot of area communities are 89, 96%. So we are the lowest in the area, except for a couple other communities which have a big electric utility and things like that to make it up. So as a city, you guys have done a great job of keeping the tax rate low.
We're the only community that pays cash for their reconstruction projects and doesn't special assess property owners.
Absolutely.
Although all of those and
So
Out of tri-state area.
yeah, that's it was a little less of an impact than the 9.67 or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Based on-
5.96% impact to the individual taxpayer as opposed to the levy increase of 9.76. Now, again, next year, if we get a bigger bump in our taxable market or tax market value base, which I'm anticipating, that could definitely soften any increases. Keeping the levy at 0 puts us backwards because people, we
Well,
lose.
keeping it at 3 puts us backwards.
Well, I think that's a really good point is while we knew we needed to do something with Jefferson, there's no way that we thought in the first bonding, that was just what we were told, even when we went to those committee hearings that, that we would be in the running. So, I think Jefferson was just, it has to be done.
Yeah.
And it's
So great that we got that money.
Yep, so this year is kind of
Right,
an
and to
anomaly.
get-
Without Jefferson, we'd be,
We'd be at a 1% increase.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I will open the public comment portion.
Public hearing, it's a public hearing.
Public hearing. I don't have my gavel. I feel very unofficial.
So same thing.
Yes, so you can state your name and limit your response to 5 minutes.
Tricia Bowes. And I am relatively new to this community, about 4.5 years. So some of this is real new to me, and I just want to clarify, when neighborhoods who have sidewalks that need to be repaired, the owner is not responsible for that? The city is responsible for that? Is that the taxpayer, like all of us?
It depends on if it's a trunk sidewalk. The city runs trunk sidewalks, and those the city are responsible for. And we have a map. We do have a map.
So the most used ones, the ones that are walked, we have to have accessibility to the school
Okay,
and to other.
so the other neighborhoods, the owner is responsible for them?
Correct.
Okay.
most neighborhoods, well, there's a trunk sidewalk plan, and we are looking at redoing that. We started having meetings on that to identify additional or which ones should be trunk sidewalks, but there's quite a few. So yes, but that's short answer.
But
is-
usually when we redo the street, we'll redo the sidewalk
Yep.
as well. It'll just be in that project, within that project's,
And we would not assess. for
then
that.
we wouldn't assess.
And you
for
wouldn't
that.
assess for that, okay. I'm just speaking from a person who lives in a neighborhood that has no sidewalks. So paying for sidewalks without having sidewalks seems, I came from a community where I replaced my sidewalks and paid for them. So I guess living in a neighborhood that has no sidewalks seems like we're being taxed for something we're not using. But
And one of our goals is to get at least a trunk sidewalk to each neighborhood. You know, so you can, within the neighborhood, you might not have sidewalks in front of every house, but within a short distance, you can access a sidewalk that will take you all the way downtown or wherever you might go.
I also noticed, so when you talked about kind of simplifying a $400,000 house and the city tax is roughly $2,100, that sounds really low. But it isn't when you add the school tax at $2,400 and the county tax at, another, and you're up in the $6,000-7,000 range. It does sound good that property values go up unless you're not intending on selling. And so, yes, it's great for the city to have that increased tax base, but for us who live in those communities and those neighborhoods where the property values are skyrocketing, we have no intention of selling. And so our taxes are taxing us right out of the neighborhood. So that's my concern, is it sounds great on paper and it sounds great for your budget, but we have people in our neighborhood who are retired on fixed incomes and the taxes are outrageous. I know you're saying we're the lowest in this area, but I know the area that I came from, which is an hour from here, the taxes in that community in the last 5 years on the house I own, which is valued at the same value as my house I live in, has gone up by $90 in 5 years, and mine has more than doubled here. So I don't know. I don't know what, as a community member, that you expect from the community members to pay more when it's gotten so high.
And the city doesn't, it's the county that assesses those taxes. So
Yes, I realize that, but you guys still have to know that your portion is probably less than a third of that. And so even your portion is going to affect us just as bad as the school's portion, just as bad as the county portion.
Yep, and I think that's one of the things that we've always worked on is really keeping, as we move forward, keep only, increasing our budget between, 3 and 7%. So that's where we try to keep it from a city perspective to provide the most services, the biggest bang for your buck, and balancing those with that exact need, because we are all property owners in the city. We all want, the least amount of taxes with the most amount of services. And that's really what we truly try to balance. I think that we do have some uniquenesses in our special assessment fees. But when was the school referendum? 3 years ago? So that was a huge one that hit. So that was a huge one that hit. And then, there's always an opportunity from a taxable market value to discuss. It's not a meeting here anymore, is it? Now it's at the county?
The county meeting is here in April, Board of Equalization.
Correct.
and so that's when you can bring up those, and if you want, did you have them come and look at your house again and reassess it, make sure they've done their calculations correctly? That's the time to do that.
Right, and oftentimes there's opportunity to, depending on, your neighborhood and what's going on around there, to lessen that impact to homeowners, to property owners themselves. So I highly encourage you for sure to attend the Board of Equalization. We probably usually have maybe 20 or so, 20, 25 property owners that.
And you can contact
through
them
that.
beforehand. You do not necessarily have to attend the meeting.
And so that's the county assessor's
Yep.
office.
How do they tell people about this meeting so that they know to come? It comes out in your.
When they send out your value of your home and it's listed on the statement, what time the meeting is and where it's at.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Bulletin boards and all, our new communication system will push out a text.
If you haven't signed up for our new communication system, please do, because that all goes out on there.
Your concerns about your taxes doubling, probably your city portion has not doubled, and we get kind of caught up because we're all one, everybody, county's got to do their thing, schools got to do their thing. We have to provide services as well. And we really, as Tina said, and the council's been great about this, try and keep it just to what we need. We're not putting any fluff in here. Without Jefferson, we would be nothing. I mean, it would be like 1% or 2%. But we do have things we're behind on. Oh, sorry.
What project?
Yes. Beltline Road that goes, the old Highway 52, that kind of goes all the way through town.
From Main Street, past the bank there, all the way around.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's old concrete road and it's terrible. I live on that road. I like the speed bumps actually, but.
It needs to be made into a real city street and not.
The city couldn't take a $6 million hit to reconstruct that. That's why we went to the state legislature to lobby for at least matching funds for that. So,
Okay.
so
So
we're
that's what
paying
you're
half and
talking,
they're
and we
paying
got
half.
matching funds, so, okay.
Correct.
Right.
We never expected to get right away, like our first time out.
And I'm messing with this year, but taxes are going to continue to go up. We've got to do some things around town. Roads are terrible. And without assessing and all that good stuff, we're going to have to increase the levy probably each year for a while to catch up on that stuff. So, yeah, no, I can sympathize with you. Like I said, we're all property owners in town. But one thing I can tell you is if you go to another community around here, it's going to be a lot more. It'd be interesting to see where you came from and take a look at that. We've had those questions from different individuals, and then we go look at it and, not that I'm saying you're wrong, but there's also some of those areas may be bigger and it's spread out more. There might be other factors like a large utility where they get money in. They might be using all of their LGA money for their operating budget, which is less on the levy.
When they took ours away.
You don't want to
We are
do that
not budgeting
because-
off of that.
Yeah, because then if it goes away, then you
That's
can't
never
operate.
guaranteed.
So those type of things too. Matt?
Would you think school referendums is the biggest reason? Because I think probably in the last 5 years, I've seen taxes double for a lot of people. It's got to be the referendum more than anything.
It is. Yep, and it was needed, and as voters, we voted for that. So, yeah, but
But now with
make it jump.
all the increases
Property
in
value.
property values, it's just kind of a double whammy.
Yep, and the schools hit actually went down a little bit this year. You probably noticed that in your statement. At least it did on mine. I'm assuming it did for everybody, just a little bit. And that'll happen as they get into it. But yeah, it's, and being one of the lowest tax rate, it's great, but it's tough too because, for a long time it was save cash and do a project down the road and push things off. And we hardly have trucks to drive for public works. They're old, and capital stuff. So again, we're trying to catch up on some of that stuff. So it's going to be a little painful for a little while, but it'll level out quickly, we hope. Yes, from the city side. Yeah, we can only answer for the city side of taxes.
Did we answer your question?
You did.
Okay, good.
Good questions. Thank you.
Anybody else have a public comment? Okay, then I will close the public comment or the open meeting, I guess, right?
Close the public
Portion of the
public hearing.
public hearing.
Yep.
Okay. Gavel with my phone.
Oh, yes, Gavin.
Let's move on to unfinished business, 7A, amendment to the library board organization ordinance. Brian.
Yes, James brought this to us last meeting. And maybe I can just have James speak to it again, do a little rundown and again, like you did last time.
Sure. Library board lets you go from 9 to 7.
And this is by attrition. It's not, they're not going to take people
They're
off
not,
the board.
yeah, they're just
There's just a
retiring.
couple leaving the board and they don't have the need for 9 people. So this is the amended ordinance. Matt fixed it up for me, so it looks good.
Oh, if I'd known Matt was going to be writing this. I would have double checked it a few times, but he did get 9 to 7, right, so we're in there.
So I would take a motion to pass ordinance 2101.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 400. Let's move on to new business. 8A, 2022 cigarette and tobacco license renewals.
Yes, Miranda, get all the paperwork together on that, and this is the request to renew the listed tobacco licenses.
So if we
Cigarette and
don't
tobacco
renew
license.
it, do people have to quit smoking?
We don't do anyone.
They would just spend their money elsewhere.
Yeah. Let's see how business owners feel
They're not
about that.
gonna quit, so. I would, anyone want to make that motion to approve these?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Force me, I'll do it. I'll second that.
Thanks, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
401, I will abstain. Or 301. 301, I will abstain, since it's my license. 8B, internal posting for police sergeant position. Pat?
So we are requesting to open the application process for the police sergeant, which is an internal promotional position. And I believe the closure would be next Wednesday is what I kind of have it set for, with the interview date set for the 13th of December at 4 p.m. So far, I've got one response from the county to provide a person to assist on that panel, waiting for another agency to respond to it as well, but I anticipate they will. But
So you're saying you need them to help promote them to sergeant? Is that, it doesn't?
they're going to be on the interview panel. So they're going to provide some perspective with the rest of the panel. I won't be participating in that process.
I see, okay.
It'll be, personnel committee, Todd, Tina and I, a
Okay.
community member, and then 2 from outside law enforcement.
Oh, okay,
Just so we don't have as much internal.
great.
We know everybody in there.
That sounds good. Okay.
And this is that position we had discussed a few meetings ago at a work session. I worked with Kim to make sure we had the dollars there with our most recent hire. You know, there were some dollars left because of not as much insurance and things like that. So we were able to fit this position in this year, which is going to be a great help to Pat and the department. So.
Yeah.
That's all.
Motion for it?
Yeah, we're looking for a motion and a second to post this, just to
But I was
bless it.
just gonna ask if you had any more questions for him.
Nope.
Then I'd take a motion.
Make a motion to approve the posting for internal sergeant position. Internal posting for a sergeant position? Is that how that would be?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 400. Yeah. 8C, American Rescue Plan Act resolution to accept additional disbursement.
Yes.
Brian, I just can't, I'm like, why would they take this money?
So there are some communities that didn't request the rescue plan dollars in the state. So that freed up more dollars, those dollars, and they reallocated those dollars out and then sent shares to communities that did request. And so we received another $6,065.86. It's already been dispersed, part of our first disbursement. So they asked everybody to do a resolution to formally accept that extra money.
So moved.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Figured this one won't be too controversial.
All in favor?
Aye.
400. 8 It says E, but it should be D,
DE,
but that's okay.
there's the amendment that I forgot.
Okay. I was like, wait, that's not right.
Good catch.
League of Minnesota Cities every year wants us to waive our liability coverage because we're covered under them. Is that?
Yes, yep, they want us to consider waiving the statutory limits for liability for insurance reasons. Every year, we do not waive the liability limits. Staff recommends not approving the limits of liability. I even stole the little verbiage there from every year past. So anyway, we requesting to not waive the limits of liability.
So I should call for a motion and then no one should make one? Or we're a motion to not waive? Well, how do we do?
Yeah, basically, we'll sign this as does not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by Minnesota statute.
What Brian said. Anyone want to make that motion?
No, I do not.
No, he wants you to make that motion,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Make
We
the
want to
motion,
waive it.
make the motion
Okay.
that
Or we
allows-
don't want to.
Oh my God,
This is
somebody-
very confusing.
May I help us?
We don't want to.
You just authorize me to sign this that says we don't waive it.
We don't. It does not waive.
I'll make that motion
I'll
to,
second that.
All in favor?
Of does not waive.
Yes.
We do this every year. I think we
It's so
can freaking
confusing.
figure it out.
That passes 4-0-0. Reports. Kim,
You got your second installment of your. And remember next meeting, you will be approving the budget and certifying the final fee. That has to be done before I believe before Christmas. So,
Yes.
we'll get that done.
Before 5 days after the 20th, I think is how it's written.
I also certified the delinquent water utility bills, and if you remember, when we looked at those, there was about $10,000 worth of bill. When we sent them in, it was like right around 2. So the majority of people paid them. So that all goes good.
okay. James,
No.
Dylan, Mike,
Just prior to the meeting here, I was joining the county meeting virtually, and in their consent agenda, they had they were going to send a letter of support for the sanitary district.
oh, great.
And I sent your Brad Anderson and all just thanking for that commissioners.
That's wonderful. Awesome. Great. Anything else? Matt?
No.
Chief?
I just wanted to mention that I've been working with Axon, which is the company that provides tasers, and we had a program that we were on where we were basically paying payments on the tasers we bought about a little over 5 years ago. And when I contacted them to, get my second set, they told me they ended the program, and therefore I would just have to spend more money and buy more things and of course they want to sell you, a system, an entire package, which is the way they are headed to regardless. I kind of chewed the guy out in regards to it, and it just sat poorly with me. And he did make some contacts within his organization, and I had another person contact me last week, and they advised me that I was correct, that I should be getting a replenishment set because we've already paid for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get a refresh on tasers. So that means we will replace the 5 that we bought under the program, but then that program's done. They're not gonna continue to do that. So this will keep us at where we're at today. We're technically short 1 because our part-timers are using one that's really, really old, that we used to have 6 of them, and it's down to 1 because they don't work anymore. So, but we'd already been discussing that we'll be able to probably buy 2 more of them so that we can be up, but I don't have to worry about that until next year. So But I was very happy to hear that they're going to do that at no additional cost. So
How long will these tasers, this new batch last then?
the life on those things are generally 5 years.
So we have some time to save up some money to,
Yes, and the thing is, you know, if they're telling me what I'm hearing, we shouldn't be making those payments like we have. Every year we pay about $1,000. So therefore, I should be able to use that toward actually buying another one, an additional one. And I'd like to do it as soon as the closer to this set, so that when it comes to the next period, and maybe start staggering some of this, so it's not always, you know, oh, hey, I need $28,000 to buy 7-8 tasers. So, but I'm just very glad to hear that, because that's a pretty big dent, and it was disappointing when they told me the original thing, but
Comes out the equipment capital plan, I can, right?
yeah, it went up regardless,
That's our
because
January plan.
Yep. their new platform, you know, the model we're carrying now, they're still selling them, but they're only going to sell them for a certain period of time. And then they expect you to move to the next thing, which of course costs more money. So, but at least we know where we're headed and we got time. Yeah, they're the only ones that really have an ECD, an electronic control device. They do have the market on it, and it's a patented technology, and it's not like, you know, your typical stun gun. Those things can actually do damage to people. You get burned or whatever, and things like that, and that's where their technology patent, that's why there's no competitor for it. So, but it's another one of our tools on our tool
business
belt.
idea.
Exactly. That's all I got.
Several
though.
of them.
Yes, American Rescue Plan Act Committee. Staff has been putting together our request for infrastructure projects dollars. Mike's been putting together a bunch of things that are needed or going to be needed soon. And we're going to look at, if we're presenting that to the committee, we're still putting some dollars together for that. So we've got a little bit more work to do. So I decided to cancel tonight's meeting. I sent out an email on that to give us another month to get all of our numbers rounded out and get everything in a format that we can present to the committee and help them understand the what's and the whys and how much and all that good stuff. So we'll meet again after the next council meeting on, I think it's January 7th is our next one. So, and then crosswalks. Tina and I have been talking about crosswalks, and Mike came up with some rapid flashing beacons that look like they work pretty well. There's some down in Plainview right on 247, right out in front of the school. Went through there one day, and those things grab your attention. They're a bar about so big, and they just flash when people push the button. You got to push the button though to make them flash. Right. On both sides. Yep. So we would propose. We're going to give. I've been in contact with the area representative. She's putting together a proposal with some costs for us, but we can wire them right into the ones downtown on 4th Street. I would think we put them more eye level, not way up high, more on the pole, more eye level. And then the ones, there also can be solar. So I think we can hook them right into our solar ones up on 9th. So we're working on that. Thanks to Tina for the initial research on that. And it was funny because I was looking at the same thing and she emailed me, good idea. So anyway, I got it to Mike and we're looking at it too to look at the feasibility of who installs, you know, do we hire an electrician, do they install? So we'll get all that ironed out and bring it back to the council when we know more about it. But I think, yeah, something needs to be done, but we also need to stress to people that they have to push the button. Yeah. We were sitting there yesterday, the mayor and I and Dylan, someone was crossing the road and he was so dang mad at people not stopping, but he didn't push a button.
Are you sure?
He
That
was
button
up
on
there.
that side
Yeah.
hasn't worked for a long time.
Well, they're supposed to be, they're all working now, right, Mike?
Okay.
This was coming across, you know, from the telephone company across. So is that the one that wasn't working?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
For a long time.
Okay.
Like it
Well,
was-
anyway, yeah, but I've heard that before. Push the buttons and don't cross in the middle or don't cross in the middle until we have some middle crossings. that's another discussion for another time. But big thank you to Larry and Ronnie from the streets crew. They put up the Christmas lights for us. Miranda's not here to approve them yet, but we'll see what she thinks. I kind of delegated to her to come up with the lighting theme. So I think it looks nice. I haven't been around that side of the building. A little bit more this year. I'm going to look for,
I haven't looked either.
I'd like to put a spotlight so we could see the wreath at night on the bridge, but I haven't figured that out yet either. So
I was always hoping we could light it up some, but we never do. Is
yeah,
there
we'd probably have to
plugins
hire
there?
somebody to go on the roof of that to install lights.
Well, I
all the
just
way
mean in
around
the
it.
front, right around the wreath, Yeah. So you can
Yeah,
see
we
it.
need to do something there because at night you kind of lose the wreath. But anyway, we're getting closer year by year here. We'll get better at that. So that's all I had.
Bob?
Just wanted to mention that have gotten the dollars that we had received from the state for the fire department for a grant that we applied for the washer dryer extractor grant. We do have that fund or part of those funds in our fire board account now. That was it.
I have nothing tonight.
I have nothing.
Did you get
Ho, 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 go downtown and see Todd.
Go down and see.
Yeah.
Go down and see Santa.
Santa.
I don't think there's any kids watching. Got a gavel. Thanks, everybody.